Hey folks, how you doing? This is Pipe Radio again. I just wanted to, I just wanted to get some thoughts down. Some of you who've seen my videos so far knows, pretty much I just deliver things in a conversational tone. Anyway, I was just thinking about what the possibility of uh, engagement in places like Korea and an engagement in Iran would mean for Americans. And it just crossed my mind that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what the spark is that lights the gunpowder that leads to the powder keg. Basically, we as Americans are not going to escape the next war. As a matter of fact, the next war may be specifically fought on American soil. And the reason why I say that, there's some things that um, our president, and don't get me wrong, as a black man, I was very proud to have a black president, but look at the timing, who it was, and how it came about now. But anyway, he did some things early in his presidency that gave me a very clear indication that there was to be some type of political shift that happened in America. The economic shift is already pretty much a done deal. The dollar is worthless. Um, America has basically destroyed its capacity to produce, and not to mention, not only is the dollar worthless, but any um, productive value that we would have would be just engulfed in a torrential sea of debt. So we have no economic base. We have no um, we have no political base because our Constitution has basically been slowly picked apart. And although it's still there as a symbol of the United States government, it's not in practice. It could be usurped in so many ways that it just, it makes it ineffective as a governmental body unless you have a strong military backing the Constitution, which brings in the next problem. Our military not only would be very divided and are very loyal to the U.S. Federal government, but they're spread out all over the world, and so there wouldn't be as much of a military force to defend. Not saying that all of the military would be in, um, would be against the the Constitution. A lot of them are there to defend the Constitution, and they know that. But many of them feel like they're there to follow orders and to do what their commander in chief says. And so we're in a situation where we will have here in America the possibility of not only revolutionary war, which would be basically the U.S. citizens against the US Federalist and the internationalists, but that same Revolutionary War is a mix of a Revolutionary War and a Civil War because of the fact that we have the Federalist, the US Federalist versus the US citizens and the US patriots. It almost sounds like a football game, except for there's going to be a lot of people dying, and I think needlessly. I honestly think, the war is already won. To tell you the truth, I think it doesn't really matter how many Americans pick up guns and fight. Uh, the end result is that there's enough international pressure to where a large group of people who have a much easier time because of technology traveling will never let us um, practice the U.S. Constitution like they did when the technology wasn't there back in the 16th, 17th, and 1800s. And so, because of the new technology and ability to travel and communicate faster and farther, it'll be much easier and give more access to the actual American continent, especially the U.S. portion. And so, we will have incredible pressures from all sorts. I agree with that. I guess he was a Russian guy. I forget his name, but he made a prediction that the Americans, the U.S. could be broken up into like maybe 5 different districts. I don't know if that would happen, but we definitely already have the internationalists under the UN that have divided America up economically into 10 regional districts, and then you let that go in line with FEMA. And I'm not one of these Alex Jones. Oh, FEMA's taking over. FEMA's taking over. It's not that that's not going to happen, but that's just alarmist propaganda. But anyway, I just think that everything is already in place for the. I don't want to say the destruction of the U.S. I mean, it would still be the U.S., but it would be the U.S. under an internationalist system. And for everybody who had this dream of this nostalgic U.S. from the late 1800s and early 1900s, I think you could pretty much. I think it's already over. And everybody who's saying anything different, and I know people get sick of me harping on this man, but Ron Paul, he's a joke, and Rand Paul is proving that they're a joke right now in Congress. So it's just, I know there's many Americans who are gonna pick up their guns and fight and this type of thing, but it's just gonna be a lot of bloodshed, and it's not my place to say whether people should be fighting or not. It's just, I hate to see it happening, But that's not an excuse not to defend yourself. It's not an excuse for us not to defend ourselves. But understand, I believe that we lost the battle when we allowed these people to get in the position that they're in. Not to mention, if things get too bad, they got tactical nuclear weapons. You don't have guns that can resist that tungsten rounds. We don't have that type of access. We could get a rocket launcher or grenade. We feel like we're doing good, but we can just be a nuisance. And maybe it'll just be one of those things where for 100 years we'll be a nuisance to this very well-established new governmental system. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Let's see what you think.